Hey friend, Graham here from recordingrevolution.com. Happy New Year. It's 2020 and we're ready to make some music this year, but we got to address the elephant in the room, which is procrastination. And I hate to bring it up because I cringe when I hear that word. That was me growing up as a kid in school. I would procrastinate, meaning I would wait till the last minute to do all my homework, to study for a test, to write a term paper. I just would wing it and procrastinate. Now, when it comes to things we actually care about, you would think we wouldn't procrastinate. You would think when it comes to things like music making, songwriting, production, recording, mixing, all the fun stuff we talk about on this channel, we would be super intentional. But the reality is, if we're honest with ourselves, look back at last year, the last 12 months, okay? Did you make as much music as you wanted to make? If you did, I'm gonna golf clap you from afar because I'm proud of you. Maybe 2019 was the year that you actually broke through and made all the music you wanted to make. But if you're like most people, I'm willing to bet 8 out of 10 of us watching this video right now did not make as much music as we wanted to in 2019, myself included. I had a lot going on, but so did you. That's usually it. We had a lot going on. We have life, right? Most of us, music making isn't our full-time jobs. Now, I get to make music and teach and do all this kind of stuff full-time, but actually over the years, even the work in my work has taken over my own personal music and I make less of it than maybe I'd like to. But don't worry, I've got new music coming out soon, so stay tuned. That being said, I want this year to be the year you make a ton of music. You make all the music that you want to make and that you no longer procrastinate, because guess what? This year is going to fly by just as fast as last year flew by. And so if you don't make a plan, you're not going to do the music you want to make. It's just going to be gone. Another 12 months gone. And we're going to be sitting right back here having this conversation in January of 2021. So procrastination is the problem, because I think if you're honest, you want to make more music this year. It is a desire. I'm not having to force you to think about this. I think this is natural for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching these videos. But procrastination, putting it off, I'll get to it this weekend, next month, next week, I'm busy this week. That's what leads to music not being made. So I have 4 tips for you today to end procrastination and actually make the music you want to make this year. They're real practical. My hope for you is that at least one of these you'll take and run with. All 4 are going to help you tremendously, but grab at least one of these and implement it. And I promise you, it'll help you move away from procrastinating and making all the music you want to make in 2020. Tip number 1 is to set a deadline for your next musical release. It's as simple as that. I don't care if you want to release an EP this year, which is a great goal, a whole album, or just a single, just your next single. You don't even have to look at the whole year. I'm not asking you to map out all the next 12 months, but what about one single, one song? When are you going to release it? You always start with the end in mind. Every good project starts with the end in mind. So you have to go all the way to the very end. What is the day that your song is going to go live on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you distribute your music? So if you're watching this in the new year, the beginning of January, why not set a deadline for a month from now? 1 month from now. 30 days from today is going to be your deadline for your new single. Pick a day on the calendar. Oh, and bonus tip, have and keep a calendar. If you don't, just open up your phone. I'm sure there's a calendar app there and type in the day you're going to release your new single to the world. Having that deadline does something powerful. It creates focus. There's a little bit of pressure because you know that that's the day you're going to release it. Now, if you're the kind of person that says, well, Graham, a deadline is pointless. It's just arbitrary. It's just a date. I could say I'm going to release 30 songs tomorrow and just not do it. Okay, yeah, why don't you be a big boy or big girl and tell someone about your deadline? Announce to your fans the day your new single drops. There is power. Tell your friends on Facebook or on Instagram, guess what? I'm dropping a new single on February 2nd. Whatever it is, right? Let the world know when your new single comes out. Then watch it do its magic. Then watch yourself get serious, because there is power in good old-fashioned embarrassment and shame. Nobody wants to make an announcement about when something's going live and then it not happen. So that extra element to your deadline, making it public, will create focus, which will make you get down to business and get working on this song. Tip number 2, once you have a deadline in place and it's public, the only way to go from nothing to final result is to break it down into bite-sized chunks. This is true for anything you're trying to create. If you're trying to build a house, if you're trying to release a movie, and if you're trying to release a brand new song, you have to break it down into bite-sized chunks. Otherwise, you'll just get overwhelmed, and overwhelm leads to procrastination because we're like, oh, this is too much. I'll deal with it tomorrow. And then hence another year goes by and we don't make any music. So practically, if we're talking about our next single, 30 days from now, we're going to release one song. Well, there's a few things that have to happen. We got to write a song, okay? We have to record a song. We have to mix a song. We have to master a song, maybe create a little bit of artwork, right? So we have something to share digitally, and then we distribute that. So that might be 5 or 6 steps. Really, I think you could do it in 4, right? I would break down a single into 4 basic chunks, which could all be broken down into sub chunks. Let's just take 4 simple chunks. In 30 days, there's about 4 weeks, right? So you could say, I'm going to write my song. That's week 1. I'm going to record my song. That's week 2. I'm going to mix and finalize that recording in week 3. And then week 4, I'm going to do a quick master, a little bit of artwork, and get it released. Okay? So 4 weeks, 4 main sections. The point of doing that, A, is now you know all the steps involved. You've done the hard work of saying, okay, how do we get a song from no song to final release? Well, it's these 4 steps. Okay, great. And then what that allows you to do is not worry about steps 2 through 4. This week, all I want you to do is worry about step 1, which in our case, in this scenario, is write a song. So you've got 7 days to write a song. That's it. You don't have to do it today. You don't have to finish it today, even if you start today. But you got a whole week to get this song written, which gives you some flexibility, gives you a little bit of buffer time, but it also allows you to not think about microphones or DAWs or plugins or distributing your music or what the album art will be. Just write a song, and it allows you to ignore so much of it and just have focus on this one step. And as soon as you write that song and it becomes week 2, your only goal is to record it. So then you just bust out your microphones and you bust out Graham's videos on how to record music, and you just sort of capture the performance as well as you possibly can. Get a really good sound, get it all recorded and captured and set up so that you feel pretty good about the recording. But you don't have to worry about plugins, you don't have to worry about mixing it, you don't have to worry about automation or reverb or delay. Just kind of get it captured so it sounds really good. And then week 3, all you got to worry about is enhancing that recording through some basic mix training. And I got a ton of videos on the channel for that, right? So you're just mixing. And when the mixing is done, now all you got to do is master it real quick. Heck, I got videos for that. There's tools for that. You can do it cheap or free. And then you just master it, get a little artwork put together, get it distributed. Boom. All of a sudden, this big goal of releasing a song that doesn't exist in 30 days has been broken down into bite-sized chunks. When you break it down, it reduces the overwhelm and the magnitude of the task, and it also gives you little momentum as you get little wins. Every time you complete one of the steps, you feel good. It's like a pat on the back, like, hey, I did it. I got this step done. What's the next step? And that is psychologically proven to help you get through stuff. It's the only way we do anything in this world is break it down into bite-sized chunks. Tip number 3 to end procrastination and make all the music you want to make this year is redeem some of the wasted time in your week so you actually have time to do all these steps. That might be the question you're having, which is, Graham, this is great. Break it down, have a deadline, but when do I actually work on the music? I'm really, really busy. Well, my friend, I don't know your schedule. I don't know all the demands in your life. If you're like me, you've got a lot of responsibilities and a lot of demands. But let me ask you something. How many minutes a week do you spend watching videos like this on YouTube? Now, I'm a YouTuber. By definition, I make YouTube videos as part of my business. It's a big part of what I do. I'm very fond of my YouTube videos. I've been making them for a decade. I love the Recording Revolution. I love this channel. I love how it's helped so many of you. I believe in the content that I create. But my friend, I understand that YouTube is a giant time suck. It will own you if you don't own it. So let's not talk about YouTube at large. Let's just talk about you and me and music production tutorials and videos. I want you to create a rule for yourself. I'm not saying stop watching videos. All I'm saying is Add up how many minutes a week you spend watching videos like mine on music production, songwriting, tutorials, all that kind of stuff. How many minutes have you watched in the last week on this type of content? I want you to spend that same amount of time in the studio. That's all I want you to do. However many minutes you spend watching videos like mine, I want you to spend the same amount of minutes in your studio working on your music. Now, that may mean you have to cut back on how many minutes you watch on YouTube to have time, but I want that ratio to be there 1 to 1. So if you spend an hour a week watching videos like mine, I want you to spend an hour a week in your studio. If you spend 2 hours a week watching YouTube tutorials on music production, I want you to spend 2 hours a week making music in your studio. That is the rule, 1 to 1, watching and producing. Because here's the problem: we are in an era of consumption and we're becoming consumers of things, not just buying crap, which is the American dream, it seems, but consuming information. We live in the information age. It doesn't matter where you live or where you're from. We all love consuming content on the internet, assuming we have access to the internet. And you do, because you're watching this. The problem is we are filling our heads with knowledge and consuming information. We do not have any time or energy or desire to produce anything. I want you to not stop consuming information. I'm a big proponent of information and education. It's what my business is built around, is giving you information and education. But I want you to take that information and education and become a producer as well. Consume, yes, but produce as well. So if you're not producing as much as you consume, there is a problem. I want you to consume a lot, yes, so you learn a lot, but then go produce at least as much. The best artists in the world, the best creators in the world produce more than they consume. But all I'm asking you to do is produce as much as you consume. So that may mean you need to find a way to get in your studio more to match your level of consumption of YouTube videos, or you need to cut back on your YouTube video consumption. Yes, that might mean even my videos, although I don't want you to miss January, because January's videos this year are going to be dope and are really going to help you. Little hint, we'll talk more about that next week. But reduce your consumption of videos to then allow you to increase your production. And tip number 4 to reduce procrastination and actually make the music you want to make this year is to have an accountability partner. I don't know what went wrong with the word accountability. We don't seem to like that word, but man, it used to mean just having a good old-fashioned friend, someone who cares about you and your goals. They may even share your goals and vision. Even if they don't, they at least know you and know your goals and your vision and hold you accountable to that. So all I'm asking you to do is get one friend, one person. This could be your spouse if you're married. This could be your brother or sister if you're close to your siblings. This could be a best friend. This could be a fellow music person if you're part of a group like Recording Revolution VIP, where we have thousands of members helping each other out. Maybe you found a friend there inside of the VIP community. It doesn't matter if they're local or remote, but have one person that you reach out to today and say, hey, here is my music goal for 2020. And it might just be like what we're having this hypothetical example. I want to release one song in the next 30 days, right? Here's my goal. Here's what I'm going to be doing to make that goal a reality. Will you hold me accountable? Will you just check in with me? Even if it's once a week, just check in with me, see how I'm doing. Having somebody else know your goal and be given permission to call you out on it, or at least just to text you, check in and say, hey, how's it going? How's the progress on your new song? That will go a long way, much like that deadline that's public, to holding you accountable to actually getting stuff done. Because you care what that person thinks about you. Because you care to not only impress that person, but to impress yourself. Because you're like, yeah, I did ask that person to hold me accountable, which means this is important to me, which means I can't just keep putting it off. I'm gonna get this thing done. Again, pressure is a good thing. A little amount of subtle, positive pressure is a good thing because you're busy. And music, if it's not your full-time job, it's a hobby. And as much as we love our hobbies, as mature adults, and I'm going to assume you're an adult of some kind, you're trying to be mature, you have other responsibilities. You could still even be in high school. It could be high school, it could be college, it could be marriage, kids, work, whatever. Those things usually take precedence over our hobbies because guess what? We're mature and we understand these are important. As much as I want to make music, it doesn't pay the bills or it doesn't matter. Like, but these people will be upset if I don't do these things. So we push our music making to the side. I understand this. I get it. But we got to fight for our music making. We have to fight for being a creative. We have to fight for being a songwriter or a producer. We have to respect the craft enough to give it the time we need. It may not be our full time gig. So maybe it needs to stay in its little box, but we can't let that flame be snuffed out. Okay. We have to at least let the flame keep burning, even if it's a small flame. Having a small little candle flame that burns all year long is better than this idea of having this grand bonfire, but we never get it lit, right? I'd rather you be making some music consistently this year than having this grand vision for this awesome album that you're going to make that just never happens because you don't give it the time of day because life gets in the way. It's not for lack of desire, it's for lack of intentionality to set you up to actually win. And that's what an accountability partner is going to help you do. He or she is going to check in on you and push you gently to make sure you get it done. So, those are the 4 tips. Have a deadline and make it public. Break it down into bite sized steps and chunks that you map out in your calendar. Bonus tip, have a calendar and use it. Have a 1-to-1 ratio of time producing music in the studio as time watching videos about music on YouTube, and have an accountability partner. And if you like the idea of creating a song, just one simple single, and releasing it in 30 days, I've got a 5th and final bonus guide for you. It is my 6 steps to a radio ready song guide. If you haven't downloaded this, you're missing out. Thousands and thousands of you have. This free guide gives you a 6-step process that walks you through how every major song you've ever heard on the radio is created. So it's not just recording and mixing. There are actually 4 other steps, and they go in order. So I want you to know the steps. That's part of it. There's also some tips and tricks and best practices along with each of these steps. But this guide is going to then be another sense of accountability. It's going to be another tool for you to actually release a new song in the next 30 days or a new EP or whatever you're working on, to get you to do it and for it to sound its absolute best, which is why you're here on this channel. Is you want to make your music sound as radio ready as possible, even if it's not on the radio, but it's just streaming on Spotify. You want to sound as quality as what you hear on the radio, sonic wise, right? So download the guide. It's absolutely free. Just go to radioreadyguide.com. Put the link here in the video. It's in the description below. radioreadyguide.com. Download it. And then guess what? Make some music this year. And if you're still watching, leave me a comment below and let me know which of these 4 tips that we talked about to end procrastination and actually make music in 2020 you're going to implement for sure. What's the one that you really gravitated towards the most? You said this is the one that I really need to implement this year. Let me know in a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm so excited for you for 2020. We're going to make some really, really killer music this year. I've got some new music coming out later this month, so stay tuned for that. And I have some really awesome content for the month of January coming up for you. So stay tuned next week on my next video to let you know a little bit more about what's coming in the pipe to help you make more music this year. That's it for me today, my friend. Happy New Year. Happy music making. Happy ending of procrastinating. And I'll see you in another video real soon.